Drew Hendricks here. I'm the host of the Legends Behind the Craft podcast. On this show, I talk with leaders in the wine and craft beverage industry. Today's episode is sponsored by Barrels Ahead. At Barrels Ahead, we help the wine and craft industry build stronger bonds between their customers and brands through authentic content. Go to barrelsahead.com today to learn more. Today, we are talking with Howard Marx, founder and CEO of Vinvinea. Howard was on the show earlier this year, and today we're checking in on the latest updates. Welcome to the show, Howard.
Thank you, Drew. It's great to be here.
Well, I'm so happy to be on. So it sounds like there's a lot of cool news coming out of Vinvinea.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Yes, definitely. We're eager to tell everyone that we've revamped our platform to integrate new solutions on it. And one of them is the new EU regulation that came out this year. It will be in effect December 8th, will be enforced starting December 8th. So that's our new news. And that's
what's this new EU regulation? Fill our listeners in on that.
Sure. So the EU has regulated that every single wine bottle that is sold, obviously within the EU, has to come with or abide by the law, and that there are a couple of things that they need to abide by. So first of all, the law comes into effect December 8th, 2023, this year, in about 2 months, and wineries are must abide by this to sell their wine bottles to the public. Now, the first thing is they need to publish required nutritional and ingredient information. That's the first and foremost important. So the same way other packaged goods have a nutritional information, wine will be required to do so. The option was left open to publish it electronically, not on the physical label. So that gave way to our innovation on a QR code. So we would, I'll speak a bit more about it in a minute, but QR code on the label, and that would be read by the consumer on their mobile phone, any mobile phone, and that would give them the information on it. Now, there are a couple more things related to this new regulation and new law. First of all, it must include allergens, sustainability, packaging, recycling, and a couple of other things.
Whoa.
Information on that, yes, definitely. And it is very clear on wineries not having it published on their own website or websites that hold sales or marketing information. So that's why, and I'll tell you a bit more about it in a second, that's why we have the best solution in the market for wineries and vineyards.
Interesting. So they're requiring almost a third party to maintain that information?
Correct.
Wow. Okay. So they can either put the information on the labels so that it's standing as a third party, or engage with a service like you have, Vinvinea, where people scan the QR code and they get all this information. Tell me more about the nutritional, because I know in the U.S. There's been a lot of discussion about how wine labels do not have that, and there's been a push to move towards that nutritional information. What does that include? Like the calories,
So the nutritional information in the EU has 5 specific. Let me grab that. So it's the fiber, the fat content, the salt content, not sodium as it is in the States. It's actually salt. It includes obviously the NaCl, the chlorine, and carbohydrates, um, and those must be which includes the sugars, of course, and those must be specified. Now we have all of that on our website, an easy way to input. Not only can you input it easily, but you can also import. We have an import function where you can just upload a file, which makes it incredibly easy for any winery or any vineyard to do so. So again, we hold the URLs in a very secure way. We're actually using Google Cloud, which is great. And that way, wineries and vineyards can comply with EU regulations. Now, I do want to tell you something, Drew, which is also interesting. Most people listening might say, oh, EU, but we're not in the EU. Well, if you do sell your wines in the EU, say you have a California vineyard or Washington or what have you, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, so on and so forth, then you must abide by this. So it's not only EU vineyards, wineries, but also anyone who's selling their products in.
Yeah, they're importing it. Now, just a more curiosity, since I haven't seen some of these labels, I could see the sugar levels varying a lot, but when you compare label to label, how many, like, does the fiber content vary a lot between the wines or the salt content?
No, it doesn't. It's usually 0 on fiber and 0 on salt, as we all know. But because this is the format of all nutritional information in the EU, then wine has to abide by it.
They have to abide. Do they have to put the ingredients in? Like if they add any other special stuff like to their wines?
Yes, definitely. That's a great point. So ingredients, any substances that are significant, that's how the law is published. And any allergens or intolerances must be labeled. Now, the allergens and intolerances must go on in bold, but they can go on the electronic label. They don't need to go on the physical label. So they did change that in the EU. So it's a brand new type of label. And what is great about it is that when you place the QR code on the label, then you free up a lot of space on the actual physical label. Then you can use for any marketing or any sales purposes that you might design, so on and so forth.
Yeah. Now, is this retroactive too? So some of these wines have already been labeled. I mean, they've been sitting around and now they're getting imported. Are they making them to stick like a retroactive label on it, or do they have to be relabeled?
No. So anything that has been produced starting December 8th must abide by this. There's no retroactivity.
Okay.
So that's the first thing. The other thing I don't want to forget to tell you, Drew, is that the law is clear on when you can actually retire the QR code. And you can retire the QR code when the last bottle has been consumed.
Oh, geez.
That's right.
How do you know?
Yeah, that's right. And that's the answer. Never.
Wow.
Never, because you might have a bottle of Bordeaux, somewhere hidden behind you, and your children or grandchildren might end up, consuming that. So they would want to read that label. So basically, yes.
So it's got to be just a permanent repository. And each vintage has to be lab tested. Each wine gets its own QR code. So you can imagine the amount of QR codes out there that need to be generated.
Correct. And that's why we did what we did. We offer actually 2 ways of doing this. One, like you just said, is the QR code for, the vintage and the whole batch. I may say, you're 30,000 bottles, 20,000 bottles. And 2, if you want to go one by one serial way, which a lot of French vineyards and wineries have done. We could actually generate a QR code individually, unique for each bottle.
Oh wow! If you want to like kind of guarantee the provenance, like,
Correct.
Wow, that's fascinating. Now, talk to me about the pricing model, because it seems like
Yes.
someone creates a QR code. Are they committing to Vinvinea for life to support it?
Well, nothing is forever, but
Yeah.
we'll be for a very long time. As long as Google is here and all the other Microsoft and so on and so forth, we'll be here. So our pricing plan, we have four pricing plans. But before I get into those, I just want to be clear. We went above and beyond to do something that we've never done, which is to have a 30-day free trial period for everyone.
Okay.
So everyone gets a 30-day free trial period to test it and make sure that everything we're so sure about our product that's what we've come up with. So on the pricing plans, we have four pricing plans. The first one is for up to 30 e-labels, so 30 QR codes. Obviously, it includes a 30-day free trial plan. It's $199, which you could also pay in euros. It's 169 euros. And it also includes, these plans also include what Vinvinea originally was created for, which is to find new business partners in the wine industry, which is, connecting wineries to importers and distributors in any country, whether it's a country that you've already sold your products in, or you want to change distributors, or you just want to create new markets, open up new markets, and have connections and contacts with importers and distributors. So our standard plan is $309. These are yearly plans,
Okay.
and 269 euros. So they're very economical. I mean, these are yearly plans, not monthly.
Yeah.
Our premium plan is $459 US, $399 euros, and the unlimited plan is $999 US and 869 euros. So either of those would be great for anyone, any winery. Yeah.
Sure. So that allows you to create the QR code, and then it also allows them to host it. What if they decided not to re-up next year? Does the QR codes go away and they need to figure out a new solution? Okay. So they can then host that label. Okay.
Yes, but why would anyone why would anyone want to leave us?
Can you describe what someone sees once they scan the QR code?
Sure. What you would see is actually the label on your phone. And what's incredible about it is twofold. One, the labels can be translated and must be translated to at least 24 EU languages. So we have many more than 24. We have 102 languages. So that's the first thing. And that's for free. That's included in the price. So you can, if you're selling your wines in France, in Germany, in Poland, which are all part of the EU, have no issues. Split second, everything's translated to Polish, German, French, Italian, what have you. And two, wait, I lost the train of thought there. Yes, it's translated. And two, yes, we hold the URLs. When you see when you see the wine label on your mobile phone, it's the exact format that the EU is requiring. So we don't have any additional sales and marketing. That's definitely something important. but we did add certain things that we could, which are you can place your logo, your icon, your images on who's your distributor, who's your order, packaging, recycling, consumption, responsible consumption, so on and so forth, geographical indication, appellation, so on and so forth. So we do have all those available for the user.
Oh, that's great. So you've got the stuff that's required, but then they can go beyond and provide other content as well when someone scans the code.
Correct.
Now that's amazing. So that automatically, just as part of the service, you get the label basically translated into 100 languages or 24 required ones.
Yes, the 24 required EU languages have to come in. Yes, they're there.
And is that a recent requirement, or is that I guess QR codes are new.
Yeah, well, this is part of the law that will come into effect this December 8th this year. Yeah.
And what sort of feedback are you getting from the wineries in the EU that are trying to implement this right now?
Excellent feedback. We've done an incredible job of putting all of this together and having the best user experience, not only in the easiness but on the quickness of uploading. And our prices are just incredible. So we've had excellent feedback. We've been published. Will be published on a couple of magazines, both online and hard copies. So we've been very happy, and we're eager to help. Any winery in the States, Canada, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, abroad, generate greater sales in the EU.
Now, as far as what is the alternative to QR codes make total sense because you have the ability to just put so much more information out there. But what's the alternative to a QR code that people might choose?
Well, the EU law is very clear. If you don't opt to use an electronic form, then you must place it on your physical label. To place all of this information on a physical label is going to require quite a label because there's a lot of information that has to be placed.
I can only imagine. I mean, cramming 24 languages onto the back of the label doesn't seem possible. So it seems like really the electronic is really the only source, unless you've got a really small print.
Yes, and one of the other options that we have is that once you download the QR code and you send it off to print, if you've done any mistake or you would want to edit anything for any reason whatsoever, you would log in to Vinvinea, you would update it, and split second, all of those 30,000 bottles are updated. No matter where they are. Yeah.
Sure. Now, does there need to be like a third party monitoring, or can a winery just put in whatever information they want?
No, they can put any information they want. I mean, there's, we are not, obviously we're not the EU. They should be abiding by the regulations. We're just the mechanism to do so easily and quickly. Yes.
Yeah, you're not the label police. You're just
no,
providing the platform for them to behave in the legal manner.
Yeah, absolutely not. And that's a good point, Drew, because if, for example, we calculate the energy values in kilojoules and kilocalories as the EU stipulates, but if you so desire, you could actually update those values to whatever values the user, deems as important. Yeah.
Now this is rolling out. So the regulations go out December 8th, but is this already being rolled out? Like, are we seeing this in Europe right now?
Yes. So a lot of wineries have already rolled out the QR codes on their labels, just, in preparation. The law is approved, has been approved. It just goes into effect this December 8th. And one more thing that's quite important is that this time it only includes wine, not including beer, and it's not including spirits.
Interesting.
But we do see that coming soon, beer and spirits. And we also what happens. I don't know if you know. I'm sure everyone listening would know what happened to the iPhone 15 that with a USB cable, the USB-C. That this Apple had to abide by this because of the EU law, because they couldn't mass produce obviously phones for the States and for the EU. So basically, we believe that not only will the States abide by this in the future or have their own QR regulation, but maybe Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and other wine producing countries will
move towards that. And I know there's been some discussion. I think there's new rules coming out in the US right now where there has to have recycling labeling content that I think a few wineries have really even realized. There was some chatter I saw on Slack channel the other day about the new labeling requirements. Do you have any knowledge of that going forward in the US?
No, I've been so concentrated in the that hopefully regulation can come in and be updated in the States, because it's we have a very I would say old regulation in place right now, but yeah, hopefully, and we welcome that because Vinvinea would we would modify, adapt, and update our platform to offer that solution to wineries in the States and even Canada.
Sure.
So, yeah.
It's kind of fascinating that beer and spirits are not held accountable to it. You would think that the nutritional content on that would be far more varied than a bottle of wine.
That's right. I'm not too sure why that's the case, but yes, it is the case. And so this time beer and spirits were given green light, but yeah.
Who are the major advocates of making this law come into existence?
It's a very good question. I wish I knew.
I'm kind of wondering, was it the beer and spirits industry forcing the wine industry to do it?
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but I do know something. To get the Germans, the French, the Italians, the Spaniards, the Polish, the Portuguese, and a couple of other important EU countries on the same page is quite a feat. So
imagine.
Yes. So
and what's the enforcement like? What happens if you don't honor this and you're selling illegal bottles?
Yes. So if you don't abide by this, then there's a penalty that will be issued to the winery. It's about, I don't know, I want to say it's about 30,000 euros, depending on how, which is about 32 or 33,000 US dollars, depending on how fast you act up on abiding. So it is something that is worth doing. It's worth coming to Vinvinea. It's worth spending, a couple $100 and getting things done. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So do you see wineries maybe like in the US? So we're going to have the US label, and then we would have the label that has the QR code going out, or do you see the wineries just doing the standard label? Like, how do you envision the labeling process going?
So yes, again, so going back to Apple and the iPhone 15 came out a couple of weeks ago, they just abided by the USB-C cable, and they just threw out the Lightning connector away and did away with that. So I do think that it's not worth the extra cost to label certain bottles and label certain other bottles in a different way. It might just be, cost prohibitive.
Yeah, this is definitely Vinvinea's 2.0. What were
Yes.
a lot's happened since we talked in January. What were some of that was a tremendous amount of infrastructure that you built out. Talk to us about like any challenges that you had to overcome or decisions that had to be made to roll this out so quickly.
Yes, a lot of challenges. Those have been everywhere. Well, first of all, the law reading law is quite tedious. That's the first thing. Second of all, making sure that our platform abides by that in an easy way for the user to generate those QR codes, and we hold those URLs, making sure the platform holds, making sure Google Cloud cooperates with us in having those securely, and it's 99.999 uptime, so on and so forth. So there's plenty of work. We have a worldwide sales team as well, doing a great job. And we have a development team doing an incredible job, making sure that each of the QR codes is unique. And so there's hundreds and hundreds of QR codes that will be generated. So it's quite a feat that we've done. And then you can also see it in a mobile version as well. So it's quite incredible. So we're ready for everyone to use it and everyone to take advantage. And for right now, those are our prices. Hopefully we don't have to go up in price, but this is, our service is impeccable.
Yeah, very, very reasonable. So Howard, is there anything else you'd like the viewers to know? This has been a great check-in.
Well, no, just thank you for the time, and we are available on Vinvinea or Vinvinea, however you want to pronounce it. It's either way. We spoke about this in our earlier chat. We chose one of those names that could be pronounced both in the Anglo-Germanic languages and in the Latin, French, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese languages. So either way, so it's VIN again, EA.com, Vinvinea.com. So that's our website. That's our platform. Yeah.
That's great. Everybody's got to go check that out. And if you're trying to import, export from the US to Europe, this is going to be your go-to choice for complying.
Definitely. And to prep for US, change of US labeling or Canadian labeling, Australian, New Zealand, wherever you export. I'm sure Japan, South Korea might change their labeling as well. So for US exporters to Japan, South Korea, even China is speaking of a change in labeling as well.
And it makes total sense to future-proof your labels for any kind of upcoming regulation shifts.
Correct.
I love it.
Correct.
Well, Howard, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a great check-in. We'll have to check back in a few months and see what the next Vinvinea 3.0.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. And yes, there's always something new. Same way Apple is always creating a new iOS and throwing us something new in there.
You got it.
We're coming up with always coming up with new stuff. Yes.
The ability to adapt is so important. And it's great to hear that. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Legends Behind the Craft podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.